Developing tonight, new outrage after President Obama designated two controversial national monuments, the Bears Ears National Monument in Utah and Gold Butte National Monument in Nevada. Environmentalists are cheering the development. The critics call the move another government land grab. Doug McElway has the very latest on this for us tonight. Doug?
Good evening, Sandra. With the designation of two huge western land masses as new national monuments, President Obama has given a nice parting gift to environmentalists and a bit of a parting shot at political rivals.
How else do you look at it in Utah other than the punishment of the people of Utah when we were so overwhelmingly opposed to it?
That 1.35 million acre parcel in Utah, as big as the state of Delaware, will now be called the Bears Ears National Monument. The second area in Nevada will become the Gold Butte National Monument. It spans 30,000 acres. The White House says the designation will protect, quote, sacred sites, spectacular scenery, and important natural and cultural resources in desert landscapes. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid said of the Nevada designation, quote, I was overjoyed to hear the news today. But in Utah, it's a different story. It's not just the governor, but the state's entire congressional delegation and every local elected official who's opposed to the designation. But the administration claims many Native Americans support the move.
There have been instances where some of these sacred sites were desecrated and destroyed.
We are our own government, and we have the right to speak over our ancestral lands.
But support from Native Americans is deeply disputed.
At best, the Native Americans are divided, and most of those who are supporting of the National Monument designation reside outside the state of Utah.
Adding insult to their injury, Utahns are now lambasting the White House for its tweet touting the designation. It used the wrong picture of Arches National Park. And that prompted Utah Senator Orrin Hatch to tweet back, if you're going to take 1.3 million acres of Utah land, at least use the right photo. Opponents say this is a case of the president misusing the Antiquities Act to undertake a land grab. And as with hundreds of other unilateral moves by this White House, they hope to undo it with the help of the new president. Sandra, back to you.
All right, Doug McElway, thank you. Our next guest is a vocal opponent of the newly designated monuments who happens to represent one of the states included in today's designation. Here with me now is Utah Representative Jason Chaffetz, who is the Oversight Committee Chairman. Congressman, it's good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Good evening.
All right, so you are slamming President Obama. Why?
It's just terribly arrogant. He unilaterally is taking 1.35 million acres. That's more land than there is in the entire state of Delaware, and redesignating it as a national monument. And if you're living there, you're a rancher, you're a cattleman, if you have resources there, guess what? The president just changed the whole equation on you unilaterally with the stroke of the pen. There's not a single person in Utah in any elected capacity that supports this. From Democrats, Rebecca Benally, a locally elected Democrat from the Navajo Nation, she's opposed to it on the San Juan County Council. So there is not a single person and any elected official that represents that area that's in favor of it, but the president did it anyway.
So he's completely in his right to do so. As you just heard from Doug, it falls under the 1906 Antiquities Act, which gives the president the power to designate national monuments without approval from Congress. But why now, do you think? I mean, what is there? Just over 20 days left in his term.
Well, I think the arrogance of what he did is going to actually provide an opportunity for us to challenge that, because the Antiquities Act in the early 1900s was put in place to save small areas. It actually says small designations. You can take hundreds of acres and go protect Bears Ears and a couple other sites that are probably worthy of protection. But 1.35 million acres? Are you kidding me? I mean, this is the state of Utah where nearly 70% of our land is already controlled by the federal and state government. And a lot of the resources that you're talking
about is that there's a lot of concern about not being able to, for energy development in some of these areas.
Yeah.
All right, so Congressman, you sent a letter to President Obama. Yeah. What did you say in that letter?
Well, hey, look, I'm the chairman of the Oversight Committee. I can investigate anything at any time. I can actually issue subpoenas, and we're going to drag them up there and understand. Oh, absolutely. There is no choice. They just unilaterally did this after 2 years. Congressman Rob Bishop and I worked, tried to come up with a bipartisan solution. Never did the president ever grant us a meeting, even though we, as a delegation, asked for it back in April, and never did he ever discuss this with us. They gave us a 50-minute notice that they were going to do this. And it's just terribly arrogant, and it's destroying families down in southern Utah.
What do you mean they gave you a 50-minute notice? What do you, in what capacity did they do that?
They literally, I got a call from Secretary Jewell saying 50 minutes from now the president's going to designate the monument. That's the notice that we got that this was actually going to go down.
All right. And have you had any correspondence with the president since you've sent that letter?
No, no. Since April, we've been asking all of us, from Orrin Hatch to Senator Mike Lee to myself, the governor. We got assurances via the governor from the chief of staff of the White House that no decision had been made on December 12th, but obviously they had put this in motion a long time ago. It's a radical environmental agenda. It's affected people in Nevada, in Utah, in the oceans, across this country, from coal miners, and I just hope that President-elect Donald Trump will do what he said he's going to do and reverse these executive orders, because this is coming, this midnight monument in the waning hours, it has to go away. It just has to.
Congressman Chaffetz, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Good to see you. All right, up next.